Hello and welcome to week 6 of the Brit Iron Fantasy Show. I'm your host James, and joining me today is Matt and Sam. Now, we're going to discuss our Sleeper League again today before going into the My Guys section as we normally do. But just a word of warning, we did lose again this week on Sleeper. It was not our finest week once again. We had a few players, or one player in particular, throw up a duck, and a couple really disappoint us. But there was some flashes of brilliance. I think we can all agree, right, boys?
On the bench, there was, I think, one I can think of. But,
Yeah,
you know.
On the bench.
Got a little brief overview here. You can sort of see the scores throughout the league. We'll gloss over ours. 30 and a bit point defeat. Not what we wanted. Gave it a lot of talk before the match-up against a team without a win yet. Well, they've got a win now, so we did our bit for the league. Keeping it interesting for the listeners. Moving on through, you can sort of see here the general results as I'm scrolling through. Pretty standard. No one left undefeated now, so everyone's got at least one loss. Makes us feel a little bit better about our 4. And here we get the full league standings. Still got the most points scored against us. We'll probably be breaking the 700 mark soon, which is, a great feeling. It's just a bit unlucky on that front, but then again, we haven't put up enough points. Third lowest points put up, so we can't really moan too much. But yeah, sitting down in 10th. Still got a chance at the playoffs. Still a run that could be made. It's early days. Just need some of our players to get a bit of consistency going. So jumping into that, this is a closer look here. If we jump back to week 5, quick overview of the matchup. Jared Goff, 24 points. Good enough. Happy with that. Mixon, 12.
Could be worse.
From Mixon, could be a lot worse. Robinson, 6.5.
Best pass player in the history of the world.
Incredible quarterback. He showed himself to be there. But moving on. Beckham with 9, which by his standards isn't horrendous at the moment. He's that guy who's either going to put up a duck or a massive score, so I'll take an average score from him. Scotty Miller with the 0 will move swiftly on. Not what you want. Moving on. Dalton Schultz, 1 point. Really let himself down there. That caught me out of nowhere, I think, a little bit. I was starting to feel confident in him as a solid fantasy tight end. We'll see how it goes with Dalton now under centre there. Kenyon Drake finally getting in the end zone. 12 points. Take that from him in the flex. Freeman, 15 points. Solid performance. Happy with that. Carlson, 10 points. Good. Look good enough again. Bucks defense, 7 points. Could be better. Could be a little bit more from that. Would like to see him hitting the double figures. But only 1 point behind the Steelers, so didn't lose it there. On the bench, though, Montgomery putting up 15, finally getting that touchdown. Cooks with that monstrous game, 26 points.
Yep.
Whoa. And T.Y. Hilton finally put up a little bit of a number, coming in at just under 10 there. Hurst, disappointing week. Kelly has maybe looked worse since Eckler went out fantasy-wise somehow. Not sure how that's happened. And then Lev Bell we need to bring up off the IR, put up 7. But of course, who knows where he's going to be soon. So we'll have to wait and see.
We'll have to wait and see.
We'll
once this episode comes out, we might already know where he's gone to.
Recording on the Thursday, so we may know by then. It's looking Chiefs. That could be very interesting fantasy-wise. Great opposite to get part of there. Dolphins could become like the main guy. Bills? Imagine you take the top of the job there, but you're obviously going to lose a bit of the running yards to Josh Allen. But an interesting one.
I believe it is between the Chiefs, the Bills, and the Dolphins at the moment. I think probably the Bills might be a bit more unlikely, from Le'Veon Bell's personality-wise. The things we've seen, he doesn't really strike me as someone who wants to go and play in Buffalo. It is not the most attractive city, and if you're going to go somewhere cold and unpleasant in the winter, you're going to go to the Chiefs, where you have probably got the slightly better shot of being in contention for a championship. So I would say it's probably between the Dolphins and the Chiefs at this point.
Yep, 100%. So obviously recording this on the Thursday, our waivers run through on the Wednesday. So we had a chat. No one we were that dying to pick up. No one we really wanted to get to. So you can see brief overview. Chenault got picked up. AJ Green getting dropped. Fulgham got picked up. Not too many bids on him, but for Anthony Miller. A few others. Henry Ruggs, Jason Sanders, Tannehill getting picked up. I think Tannehill could be a nice little pickup for someone there. Nothing too out of the ordinary. Pretty standard for what most waiver-wise are going to look like, I think, this week. Anyone we're disappointed that we missed out on there? Any pickup you particularly like, lads? Anything standing out?
The Giants pick up defense. They're playing against Washington this week. Dodgy quarterback situation. Not really sure who's starting there, Kyle Allen or Alex Smith. So for a 1 week streamer, that's not a bad play in my opinion. There is some definite value there.
Yeah, I agree with James. I think that's the only pickup really on a kind of streaming basis that I'd be interested in. In terms of other players that got picked up, I mean, I don't dislike the pickup of Henry Ruggs. He's that big play guy, so he does obviously have fantasy value. But there was no one on there that I was thinking, yep, we need to swap out and put our guys in. I think one of the issues we have had is obviously we've played against some teams that have just had big weeks. I mean, you look at our team, the team we played against this week, Team Swaggy, and I mean they're starting Patrick Mahomes, who I believe was the quarterback one on the week.
Very
I started Mahomes in our dynasty and was very happy with him. Shame about the rest of my team.
As ever.
Exactly. Miles Sanders had one of just kind of a big game, 22 points, but that was again that was off of literally one play. I think he had like a 71-yard touchdown run. The rest of his carries were very poor, and it was and one other touchdown. So I mean, he wasn't actually great in general in that game. He just had one massive play, which turned him into a massive week. Robinson, who had a good week, 10 receptions, 90 yards, to put up 14 points. Mike Williams, who just had an absolutely monster week, especially with Keenan Allen going kind of out in the first kind of half of that game, really benefited from that. And the rest of his team did well. So I think we've been quite unlucky. Obviously, we haven't put up major points, and we've maybe made some changes over the last couple of weeks to our team that may have hurt us. So I think at this point, looking at our roster, there's not much that I would want to actively change.
No, I 100% agree with you there.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
We'll jump in. We're keeping the roster we've got. We're keeping it the set players. First thing we got to cover, Lev Bell now coming off IR. Personally, this is a guy I want to keep around. I want to see where he lands. Can he, if he ends up in a good offense, say like the Chiefs, can we see a bit of old Lev Bell? That's something I'm very interested in. Potentially great trade bait as well if he comes out one great week and you think, hang on, we could maybe get some good receiver depth here or something like that. See what we can do. But the big question is, who are we dropping for him? I think realistically, I don't really want to see us dropping someone out of that running back position group just because it's going to be left with not a lot of depth and way too many backs at that point. We'll have 3 of our 5 bench spots as a back with already our both flexes being backs. Going to get a bit ridiculous. Any name jumping out to you guys to move on from out of these running backs then? It's a tough one.
Yeah, this is really tough to work out who to drop. Obviously, a few of these players have had disappointing weeks and seasons so far, but there's still a lot of value there.
I would actually be more inclined to drop T.Y. Hilton than anybody else.
Just quickly on T.Y. Hilton. Disappointing season. I think we were Matt at the top of the episode as well. You said disappointing week last week. But what's not disappointing, and this is another plug, the UK Touchdown have actually got a signed T.Y. Hilton jersey for £110.
£110.
£110, young Samuel.
How much a new jersey from NFL Network's like £100? So you're basically paying a tenner for an autograph.
Exactly.
Certified autograph and everything.
Yeah, that's pretty good in my books.
Oh, it's fully legit. We've had T.Y. Hilton. We've all been disappointed. This almost makes up for the disappointment, in my opinion. This price on this jersey, well, it is for me. It's a great deal. I love to see it. I'm very much probably going to buy it if I'm honest. But there's also other great deals on this website as well. So for those listening at home, be sure to go check out the UK Touchdown. Great signed memorabilia and also some great articles written up there. So go check out the uktouchdown.com.
Love that.
Yeah, T.Y. Hilton is disappointing in fantasy though.
I think he's had his better week of the season coming off last week. I mean, could have helped us if we actually had him in the lineup. The week we did drop him, the week he actually put up not a lot of points, but just a similar amount to Odell Beckham. We're not talking about dropping him. No. I want to drop Joshua Kelly if I'm honest. I think he looked good and he looked like there was potential there at the start of the year. But now I'm not looking at our team and seeing anyone that I want to drop out of the starters for him. So at that point, I'm like, I'd rather have Bell than Kelly. Kelly's put up less than 5, I think, the last 3 weeks, and that's once Eckler went out, which
the only other option
an upturn.
Sorry, the only other option, sorry to interrupt there, is potentially the tight end spot. We briefly mentioned it at the top of the episode, and Sam, you mentioned it before as well, but not wanting to carry 2 tight ends.
Yeah.
Now, tight end's a position we can stream, and I know I'm very hard on Hayden Hurst, but our starting tight end, Dawson Schultz, is also got a lot of value as well. But potentially there, we could drop one of those and bring Lev Bell in.
I would be happy to drop Dalton Schultz, move Hayden Hurst back into that starting spot. I think Hurst is probably just going to be... I think there's less questions in terms of the quarterback there. Having said that, I am still very high on Andy Dalton in general for fantasy. I think he's got a lot around him. But I think Hayden Hurst is in a system that is just geared towards the tight end a bit better.
Yeah, I think there definitely is questions around Schultz. Both had good weeks and bad weeks this season, a lot of inconsistency, I think it's safe to say. And yeah, I think this Cowboys offense is going to see him leaning a bit more towards Zeke. They're not going to have Dalton forcing the ball the same way you get Prescott sometimes just putting up 450-yard games, like 450-yard games, I mean by that. Like, so I think, it might maybe rein in the potential for him. He's going to be pretty much touchdown dependent. Whereas I think Hurst could get a bit more varied usage, maybe have some weeks where he gets enough points just off getting the volume. So
yeah,
if that's the route we're going, so we're dropping Schultz, bringing Bell back into the lineup. Bell now in on a spot on the bench, Hayden Hurst into the starting lineup. So let's get on with setting the rest of it for this upcoming game week. Obviously, we're running with Jared Goff, the one quarterback on the roster now, so we know that is locked in. Yep. Running back, Mixon, Robinson, they staying in?
Yeah, I think. I think Mixon doesn't have the best matchup against Indianapolis, but he is so talented. He could break off for a big week, so you're not taking him out of your roster. James Robinson, there are questions around him, obviously, but the matchup against Detroit is a great matchup. This projects to potentially be a bit of a shootout, and I mean, if Jacksonville find themselves on the kind of inside that 5 zone, he's going to be the running back that gets those goal line carries. So I think as those 2 running back positions, that's who we're starting.
Yep, agreed.
All good with that. So then at receiver, obviously, I think unless this questionable injury he's got going on develops more, we're keeping Odell in. This is, I think, what's going to be the main point of change here. Scotty Miller put up a dud going into Green Bay. It's a tough secondary to pass on potentially. Yeah. Is he going to get the work? Godwin most likely coming back in. So T.Y. Hilton or Brandon Cooks, who is the guy we're rolling into this with? Do we want potential upside of Cooks?
I would like to I think Cooks is the only real play between these 3 guys here. I think Scotty Miller is very much the kind of player who he's had the opportunity in the last kind of month with obviously some of the other starting receivers in that team be in and out of the lineup, and he's had the opportunity to show some consistency, and he just hasn't done it. Yeah. He has the potential to break for a big week, and he has the potential to be for a 2 touchdown kind of guy, but I think there's an argument to say every single receiver in the league has that potential. He's had the opportunity, and I just prefer Brandon Cooks' talent over Scotty Miller's. And in terms of T.Y. Hilton, to be honest, I think T.Y. Hilton, he's declining as a receiver in general, and he has a quarterback who really struggles to drive the ball downfield. He doesn't have the arm strength anymore, so that's not really something that I want starting.
Yeah, I'm in agreement as well. And T.Y. Hilton, we touched on, really disappointing, so I'm always a bit scared to play him now. I need to see a bit more before I feel a bit stronger about him. So, happy to roll with Cooks.
I think Miller as well, to put on that, he's looked better actually with some of the more names being there, where he can just sort of do his job, not have as much coverage put on him. Because I think you saw it that even when O.J. Howard was still out there, he was almost being covered up over Scotty Miller, so he broke off, had that decent game against the Chargers. This week, where it's pretty much him and Evans, we all saw what happened. So in agreement there. Want to see how that plays out a bit more down the season. So Beckham and Cooks as our starting receivers. Obviously Hayden Hurst now the sole tight end on the roster. He's in at tight end. Now in the flex, Kenyon Drake, Devonta Freeman. Other option, I guess, that we're going to be talking about here is Montgomery. Out of these 3, who are the 2?
I think definitely Montgomery. Going into that Panthers team, who their run defense hasn't been strong, allowed about 133 average yards, rushing yards per game. I think David Montgomery is a stronger play here for me out of the 3 for sure. And then I'd probably roll with Drake as well. I want him to keep it going on.
Kenyon Drake has a great matchup. It's still probably the worst defense in the league at the moment. So coming off a week where he had an okay week as well, scored a touchdown. I think you've got to play Drake here. Do like David Montgomery coming into this matchup, but I also do like Devonta Freeman. So for me, it's actually a bit of a toss-up here. I think Devonta Freeman looked okay at the weekend, and he's got a very good matchup with the Washington Redskins. So I think football team, sorry. So he's got a good matchup there in terms of they're going to give up a lot of points. Although I think realistically, David Montgomery's probably going to get. It's probably on a slightly better team, and at the end of the day, I would rather take the guy who's running against the Carolina run defense over the Washington kind of front seven, who haven't been terrible.
That's the tipping point for me. Is I think that front seven in Washington just tips it. I'm not convinced by Drake at all. Makes you a little bit nervous. I think you're looking for touchdown upside there because I think Edmonds is definitely going to get in the way. It's still quite a bit away there, but I think we'll roll with that. So now as well. We're going to need to pick up a kicker, boys. We're going to have to string one for this week. Carlson is on bye. So, James, any names that jumping out to you? Any kickers?
The one in particular, the Falcons kicker, last name Koo. I think he is a potential good kicker for this week. He's looked good so far this season. He missed 1 week through injury, but he's been pretty accurate all year, and I think there's a lot of potential for him to get some big points this week as well.
Interesting. I would actually throw my hat in the ring here for Graham Gano from the New York Giants. I think this is a game that could have a lot of 3-pointers in it, just because it's two bad teams going up against each other. The New York Giants offense can't get rolling. The Washington defense hasn't been good by any stretch, but it hasn't been bad. So I could see kind of a lot of long fields maybe getting stopped on the 40, and Gano being asked to kick a lot of long field goals. And historically, Gano's got an absolutely monster leg, so he has got that range. So this is the kind of game where the Giants might just take any points they could get.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I think Gano was the name standing out to me. So as we're doing this, pick him up, drop Carlson. I think probably jump back to Carlson next week, depending on who knows. If Gano has a monster week, maybe we run with it and see how that moves. But for now, let's get that done here quickly. Jump him in. Lovely. So Gano into the lineup, and obviously rolling with the Bucs defense. Could be a tough one against Green Bay.
I think they're going to get scorched.
Secondary could step it up. I don't know. It's going to be an interesting one to see. Is there anyone we would maybe want to roll with here? Any streaming options?
Who have we got available? Let's take a look. I think it's unlikely, just because I think a lot of the best defenses. I mean, I'm looking down. I'm not seeing any amazing matchups at all. I mean, the Washington football team maybe, but the Giants aren't. I think they're both just two bad teams, so it could go one of two ways. It could be incredibly low scoring, or it could be incredibly high scoring. So it really depends on how kind of each team shows up. The thing is, I think the New York Giants defense might be a bit better than people think, so the New York Giants might be on the field a bit more than people think, which worries me. I wouldn't want to drop the Bucs defense and lose that defense going forward.
Exactly.
Yeah, that is
exactly
a concern.
You're going to get rough matchups here and there. A lot of teams got to play Green Bay at some point, and you said scorched earth is how that offense is looking. But there is our set lineup for the week. Relatively standard now. I think we're kind of settling into our lineup. Hopefully it can just be a bit more consistent, perform a little bit better.
Say that again.
Get us a win here.
Exciting times, yeah. It's got to be a win. It's got to be coming. I say it every week, but this is the week it happens again. Feeling confident, although I don't sound it right now, but we'll see. Fingers crossed, hey boys. Right, time for the My Guys section for week 6. Right, I'm thinking it's the same criteria as usual, Matt?
Yep, exact same. Same as always. Can't be top 12 at their position on the season. We'll run you through last week. So we had Sam going Kenyon Drake, James with Kirk Cousins. I rolled with Will Fuller. The closest week we've had yet, I think. It was a very tight matchup going into it. Sadly for me, though, Will Fuller coming in as the wide receiver 23. So I get the minus point this week, taking me back to an even 0. Same as I was at the start. May as well not even played the first few weeks. But we knew could be on a minus number, could be worse. Then second place, we've got Drake. Came in at running back 22, so just scraping
that touchdown
ahead.
saved me. That touchdown saved me.
Ahead, so Sam stays on 2 points for the year. No movement there. And here we go. You can see the celebration coming in. Kirk Cousins, QB 17. James gets a point on the season. Back to -1.
God.
It's got to come. You've got to get back in it. You're one step closer to not being on a negative number, mate. So it's
God, it was close. He didn't do as well as I thought he was going to do. I know I won this week, but it's still not as good as I thought it was going to be. It was touch and go at times for sure.
A close week. So James, who's your guy this week? You're hoping can get you back to 0, get you back out of the negative.
Well, you could call this one low hanging fruit.
Love to hear that as the starting line.
Potentially, and that's only because it's a beneficiary through injury. So my guy is Alexander Mattison, for week 6. RB 36 on the year and a half-point PPR. Now, of course, Dalvin Cook's got an abductor sprain, which is very likely to keep him out against the Falcons. Hasn't been confirmed yet. I don't think I'd like to add. But with their bye week coming up after this week in week 7, all things pointing towards Cook sitting out. At which point, Alex Mattison comes in with a lot of opportunity. He's playing against the Atlanta Falcons, not a great defense as we've touched on many a time now. They're allowing about 110 yards rushing and on average 1 touchdown per game to running backs, as well as giving up 18.5 PPR points. So I know that's PPR, but it still counts.
Yep.
The other thing as well, he replaced Cook on the weekend and rushed for 112 yards off of 20 carries, and also had 3 catches as well. So he's been using the pass game, which is quite handy. Although, again, half-point PPR, but still, it's fancy value there.
Good value there, yeah.
The other concerns you could have are about Mike Boone potentially stealing away some of the snaps. However, after Cook went out, just for the whole game, on Sunday, Boone had 5 snaps against Mattison's 43. So it's clear that Mattison is going to be that guy there.
Yeah.
There's no concerns about Mike Boone.
Pretty convincing, that one.
Just to clear any doubts you might have had there. So my guy for this week is Alex Mattison.
I like that pick. Sam, who are you trying to keep the lead?
I'm less confident about my pick now.
Oh no!
I wish. Can I have James's, please? No. So my pick this week is a guy who I'm kind of going for This is a bit of a deeper pick. This is for everyone out there who's in a deep dynasty league, or maybe you're in some weird 16 team or league, or you're playing a double QB league, something like that, and you really need to find a quarterback. I think that going forward, this is a guy who you can probably start week in, week out, and I am saying I'm taking Andy Dalton. Obviously, coming in to start for the Dallas Cowboys. Horrible injury to Dak. Godspeed. Hopefully he gets back and playing football at the same level he was as quickly as possible. I think everyone hopes for a speedy recovery, but he's coming into a spot where he's got some of the best weapons he's ever had around him. He's got one of the best running backs in the league. He's got maybe the best receiver core in the league. He's got a very competent tight end in Dalton Schultz. He has really stepped up this season and is playing decent football. And at the end of the day, that defense for the Dallas Cowboys is terrible. I mean, it is really bad. So the absolute only way that this team is going to be able to stay in games is by putting up a lot of points. So I'm going to go for him this week as my guy, just because he is either going to flop and the Cowboys are maybe going to be discussed as one of the worst teams in football this time in 4 or 5 days after Sunday's slate of games, because if they can't do it offensively, then they have a no shot whatsoever at winning games of football. But I don't think the Bears are a great defense. I think they've struggled. And if the Bears can put up points and the Cowboys are forced to keep pace, I think Dalton's a guy who's very capable of doing it, and he's got guys who can break some big plays for him.
I like it. There were a big old hot take in the middle of that, but
I was going to say that shocked me that you would think the Cowboys are the worst team compared to the Jets
and the Giants,
and just New York in general.
They wouldn't be the worst team in their division. But
they could really be up there if he can't keep them playing offensively like they have, like Dak's been keeping them doing. Then they are just as bad as the Jets, because the defense is worse than the Jets' defense.
Yeah, I think he'll do enough to lean the rest on Zeke. But I think he's got enough there that when he does throw it, he's got some great guys on the other end of those passes to make some plays for him. So I do like that pick.
I love it.
So you two both going down the sort of taking advantage of an injury kind of route. looking for that guy who's, got a
What am I
great
saying, I
opportunity
suppose?
suddenly. But hey, it's what you've done. I respect the hustle.
I feel bad now.
Yep. My route, I might be using Cam Newton missing a few weeks here to get a very good quarterback that's outside of the top 12.
No!
Quarterback 25 on the season, taking on the Broncos.
Oh my god.
You don't want to talk low-hanging fruit. I've decided, you know what, I'm embracing it. I'm going for it. They're playing the Broncos. They're trying to recover from some injuries on the defensive side of the football. Cam Newton should be fired up, ready to go. He's had a bit of rest. He wants to get back out on that field. And he's got that running baseline that you always want in a fantasy quarterback. I don't need to explain it too much. I saw the opportunity. If it doesn't come through, I'm going to be a bit like, I can't even win with low-hanging fruit. Brilliant, we'll sack it off. But Cam Newton, week 6, hopefully getting me a point.
Wow. Well, I need to go back to my evaluation of low-hanging fruit because as soon as CMC's back, I'm taking him.
I
saw CMC floating and I was
we're
like,
going to be fighting over McCaffrey.
I was like, do I take the gamble?
God.
I think we might have to have a no CMC rule. Just because otherwise it's whoever gets it in the
not
chat
after
first.
You pick Cam.
Sorry, we are not playing gentlemen's rules now. This is no
I'm sorry, hang on,
rules.
Sam, you took Dak Prescott at one point. You cannot play that. You can't play the victim here, mate.
Dak Prescott was a good pick. He was outside of the top 12.
Yes, Cam Newton,
Great
pick
pick.
outside of the top 12.
He hadn't been injured. He hadn't been injured yet.
Oh god,
it's got to this point. I saw an opportunity. I'm an opportunist, boys. What can I say?
Oh god, that makes me a little bit sad. I can't lie to you because I thought I had a good shot with Mattson, but now it's been blown out.
Time to cheer yourself up, mate. Go buy your T.Y. Hilton jersey.
I'm gonna get onto that. I'm gonna go have a look at the UK touchdown once again after we record this. See what's out there. I know there's also a Mark Ingram jersey as well.
Hashtag not a sponsor.
Oh, it's exciting times. I can't wait.
Hashtag not a sponsor, just a shout out.
Yeah.
But unless you boys have anything else to raise, any other points to bring up, that is all we've got time for today. So as ever, be sure to head over to YouTube, go like, comment and subscribe. Please subscribe. We're slowly gaining some traction there. We'd love to see it. So
2 away from 50.
Get down
2
on
away
that.
from 50.
Yeah,
Halfway
first
to the 100. Let's go.
Let's go. And also check us out on Instagram and Twitter. We are at the Brit Iron. Go get involved in the conversation over there on both those platforms. Start a little community, which is great to see. So yeah, go get involved, guys. But for now, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time. See ya.